What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Cosmic Wonder. Avengers Doomsday is coming along nicely. It's in full production. They're filming right now, and some cast members have even completed filming for the movie. For example, Deadline reports that Pedro Pascal has reportedly completed filming all of his scenes for Avengers Doomsday. And if that really is the case, that means they're pretty far into filming some pretty deep scenes, because we know Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards isn't going to be the lead of the movie. He's not even going to be the leader of the Avengers. He cleared that up in a recent interview, but he is one of the leads and he's important to the story. So they've filmed some really big scenes, and a lot of people have talked about how Robert Downey Jr. is really leading everybody as the leader on set. And now Ryan Reynolds has teased something related to the Avengers, most likely teasing that he is returning to play Deadpool in Avengers Doomsday. And what's really interesting is the timing of all of this. We've been hearing rumors lately that Marvel Studios is planning their second chair video, another Avengers Doomsday casting announcement video. So giving us a part 2, giving us that full cast, because Marvel did confirm everybody they announced is not the entire cast. There is more to come as far as casting announcements are concerned. And let's be honest, Marvel and Disney want Deadpool in Avengers Doomsday. Deadpool and Wolverine was a massive success. It went over really well with the fans, killed it at the box office, and Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, has even said recently that some of these projects failed or didn't perform as well as they would have liked because they didn't have such popular characters in them, like the Thunderbolts, for example. And even for Captain America: Brave New World, he said that it didn't perform because it wasn't Chris Evans. He said it was the first movie without Chris Evans, which is why it didn't perform as well as the others. So having such a massive character that a lot of people really love in the next Avengers movie is a smart move if you want to fill the seats in the theaters. Plus, not to mention, Deadpool has to have that scene with Thor. Deadpool was wondering why Thor was crying, and so are all of us. And actually, if you think about what Ryan Reynolds has said recently, there is a chance that Deadpool could die in Avengers Doomsday. But we'll get into that. Now, Ryan Reynolds recently posted this on Instagram. It's the Avengers logo with the anarchy sign over it. Now, this is something that was in Deadpool and Wolverine. It was on one of the vehicles that we saw. And I don't think this really has anything to do with Deadpool and Wolverine. It's really just the Avengers logo that we need to focus on. And you could even say that Deadpool himself is the anarchy logo. And there's really no other reason why he would do this besides to troll us, which I don't think he would do at this point in time. So it probably is him hinting that he's getting started on Avengers Doomsday. And I've seen a lot of really interesting comments online already about what exactly Deadpool could be up to in Avengers Doomsday. Now, right away, when I think about Deadpool being in Avengers Doomsday, I think back to the reports that we've heard recently and some reports that we've heard a bit ago that say there is going to be a multiversal Avengers team and the TVA is going to be pretty heavily involved, which makes sense. If you've been keeping up with our Avengers Doomsday videos, you probably have heard that what we believe is going to happen based on reports is that Loki is going to sense what Dr. Doom is doing, since he's kind of connected to the multiverse, but he can't move. He has to stay there tied to all of the branches. So he forms a group and basically almost does a Prime Avengers team, which would be sick to get. Avengers Prime and a multiversal Avengers team. And that sounds like that's what we're going to be getting. And since the TVA is going to be involved and Deadpool and Wolverine just basically assisted the TVA in saving the entire multiverse, or I should say the TVA kind of assisted them, if you even want to say that. Regardless, Deadpool and Wolverine were involved with the TVA heavily in Deadpool and Wolverine. So it would make sense that if the TVA needs some protectors to go throughout the multiverse trying to save it, Deadpool, and I'm assuming Wolverine as well, would be on their radar. And after all, Marvel has already confirmed Gambit is going to be in Avengers Doomsday. Channing Tatum's name was on a chair. Thanks to a post-credit scene that Ryan Reynolds released himself, we know that Gambit was brought back. It was also on a very tiny screen in the post-credit scene for Deadpool and Wolverine as well in the TVA. And what's interesting is that we had a plot leak for Deadpool and Wolverine way before the movie came out that said Deadpool and Wolverine was basically going to be about the TVA going to a bunch of different universes, grabbing a bunch of different heroes basically to fight the villain of the film. That obviously didn't happen, but perhaps they saved that idea for Deadpool's story in Avengers Doomsday, which if you're looking forward and you know he's going to be in Avengers Doomsday, it makes a lot of sense to save that story for the film. But I've also heard some really cool things like Deadpool could possibly join the Thunderbolts, or he could finally get what he wants to fight alongside the Avengers, especially Thor and Captain America, and we just heard that Chris Evans is returning and he's already filmed scenes if the reports are true. This is really interesting and we'll dive into it, but first, thank you to Factor for sponsoring this video. Y'all know I personally use Factor and I love Factor meals, and now Factor is even better. Factor now has more variety and more meals. You can choose from a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp at no extra cost. And now for the first time, you can try Asian-inspired meals with bold flavors influenced by China, Thailand, and more. Instead of spending hours a week meal prepping, Factor arrives fresh and ready to eat, perfect for any active lifestyle. And if you're busy like me, Factor is a game changer. They take the time out of prepping and make it easy to eat healthy. With 45 weekly menu options, you can pick gourmet meals that fit your goals. Choose from Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. All tasting great. I personally love Italian, and their different pasta options are fantastic. Factor powers your day with satisfying breakfasts, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. They even have wellness shots as well. This summer, make eating healthy easy with Factor. To get started, go to factormeals.com/CosmicWonder50 off and use code CosmicWonder50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code CosmicWonder50 off at factormeals.com/CosmicWonder50 off for 50% off plus free shipping. So I've seen a lot of people stating that perhaps Deadpool could join the Thunderbolts because the Avengers didn't accept him. And when he finds that the Thunderbolts are the new Avengers team, he might think that's his opportunity to finally be on an actual Avengers team, because the Thunderbolts / the new Avengers is basically a group of misfits. Kind of a perfect fit for Deadpool if you think about it. And just because a part of him is vain, he might want it for that Avengers title to say he was indeed an Avengers, even if it is a part of the team that's the Avengers with a Z. And what I've heard a lot of people say already online, which I totally agree with, is that the banter between him and Red Guardian would probably be hilarious. The Red Guardian was definitely one of my favorite parts about the Thunderbolts, and to have him interact with Deadpool, I think would actually be an absolute win. And although for Avengers Doomsday, I want it to be a more serious film, I definitely don't want it to have as many jokes as Deadpool and Wolverine. I definitely don't want it to be anything like Thor Love and Thunder, but when appropriate, the film will need comedic relief. And Deadpool is perfect for that. So is the Red Guardian. And one thing that I did like about Deadpool and Wolverine is that Deadpool does get incredibly serious in the film. When he finds out that all of his friends and loved ones are gonna die, it gets real serious. Yes, he makes some jokes, but when the stakes are there, he gets incredibly serious and actually pretty vulnerable, like he did with Wolverine in the van, where he said, I don't know anything about saving universes, but you do. And this is my whole world right here, referring to the picture of all of his loved ones. So Deadpool in an Avengers film doesn't have to be all jokes. We can get a serious Deadpool, especially because the stakes are kind of the same as Deadpool and Wolverine. His universe, his world, the people he loves who are in it are at risk. Everything is. So I think we can get a serious Deadpool, and that might actually be how we get that scene with him and Thor. Like I said in the beginning, I think there is a slight chance, not a huge chance, but a slight chance that Deadpool might actually die in Avengers Doomsday. Now, there are some catches here, like they could perhaps bring him back in Avengers Secret Wars, or bring him back after the reset. But here's the deal. Ryan Reynolds actually wanted to kill Deadpool in Deadpool and Wolverine. He revealed this after the movie came out. He was on the Box Office podcast. The episode is titled An Hour with Ryan Reynolds, if you want to look it up. But on the podcast, he said that he was originally going to kill Deadpool off in Deadpool and Wolverine, but he said, and I quote, "The studio, of course, are like, it'd be fun to play around with this guy in the future," end quote. Basically saying, hey, the studio wanted Deadpool to appear in the future, in future projects, and obviously considering how successful that movie was, Deadpool and Wolverine, yeah, they want him in other projects. Kevin Feige even said, when asked if Deadpool and Wolverine are going to show up in some future projects, straight up, yes. He said, there have absolutely been discussions. We're in touch with Ryan a lot. So the answer is Yes. So even though Ryan could have possibly killed off Deadpool in Deadpool and Wolverine, the studio kept him around, and I think the studio will most likely want to keep Deadpool around for even longer, even after Avengers Doomsday. So that's why I say there's a small chance that he could die. Perhaps Ryan might see this as his opportunity to do what he wanted to do and actually fulfill that Thor scene that we saw in the TVA. Deadpool going out like a hero, honorably sacrificing himself or fighting with the Avengers, but he ends up getting killed by Dr. Doom's magic. Because it's incredibly hard to kill Deadpool. There are ways, but it's incredibly hard. But if you want to show how strong Dr. Doom is and you want to show his sorcery off, perhaps killing Deadpool is a good way to show that off. Now again, I don't really think, and I really hope, that's not going to happen. And Ryan really does love playing Deadpool. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be around for a bit. And it looks like his next appearance in the MCU is going to be Avengers Doomsday. This seems to be what he's teasing, but go ahead, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest Marvel news. You can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.